Hey everyone, what's up? It's Sarah and welcome back to my channel. In this video, we are going to be talking about Andrew, who I think has successfully joined the ranks amongst some of the most hated cast members in 90 Day Fiancé history. And I think that is put on great display with how often he collaborates with Lita over on her YouTube channel. So I'm just gonna give my thoughts about Andrew throughout this season and how I think he's pretty much a shitbag. And we're gonna touch on the fact that some people have accused Amira of being a scammer, or maybe she's not being on the up and up about her intentions. So we're gonna touch on that a little bit as well. And then kind of about Andrew's shitty mom, because she showed some really poor behavior both on the show and on social media. So let's just jump right into this video. I don't think I've made a video about Andrew or the Andrew and Amira situation on my YouTube channel, but early on I posted how uncomfortable I was that Andrew was posting so many photos of his daycare children on his social media. First of all, he's posting throughout the day, which you should be paying attention to these kids for their safety. Additionally, I just think it's unclear if this is like against the law. I think it's like more of a location by location basis. I know that for my daughter's daycare where she goes, we have allowed them to use photos that they take throughout the day for their website for like promotional uses, but absolutely they are not authorized to put any of my daughter's photos on their own personal social media platforms. So with that being said, I, as a mom and as a mom of a child in a daycare, just found it absolutely appalling that he would be exploiting these kids on his Instagram, really to garner sympathy, because he's coming off, because he started doing this early on, and I think it's because he was coming off as such an unlikable and just an unsympathetic character, that he did this to show like, hey, I'm a good guy, like, see, kids love me. And really, I just found that super gross. Andrew, to me, comes off as the ultimate person who, if I can't accomplish it like on my phone or online in some way, like, I'm not interested in being inconvenienced. And I think that that was exemplified with this whole Amira getting detained in Mexico. Now, Andrew has gone on to show receipts that Mexico was actually Amira's idea, and, you know, she just really wanted to get to the United States and blah, 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 and she was actually using Andrew. But I don't think out of any of her like master plans did that involve getting detained. And additionally, they had, both of them admit and confirm, they had like a 2-year relationship prior to them filming the show. So they had what would appear in Andrew's head to be a legitimate relationship, right? So if your girlfriend or fiance at this point of 2 years was detained, and you don't know what kind of condition she's in, you don't know if she's in an actual prison or if she's just in like some sort of makeshift detainment center, you don't know. And all we saw he did was call and speak half Spanish. Like, I took 2 years of Spanish in high school. I could not, like, I mean, it's a joke what my Spanish is, but I could still speak better Spanish than Andrew. So he couldn't go down to the hotel desk and get a translator. He couldn't Google. He couldn't book a flight to find out where she was. There are ways, and I think Andrew is pretty creepy. There are ways to figure out where people are. And I think if you're someone's fiance and you're trying, you could call the airline, you can call Mexican authorities, you can, you know, there's just, and he put in like a thimbleful worth of effort, and then when he couldn't figure it out, he was like, well, I already booked this vacation, so I guess I'll just focus on self-care. The other thing I noticed just throughout the whole season where he was really focused on exposing Amira. He would always post like screenshots of their conversation. He would constantly bitch about how he was being portrayed on the show. He went on, I did see an interview he did with Lita and Eric, her husband. It was really like racially charged and it was just pretty gross. But in that, his mom actually joined him for that interview, and they were saying how their daycare center was being like bombarded with phone calls and bad reviews and how poorly and awfully they've been treated since being on the show. And they're asking Lita if it ever gets better. Well, I mean, y'all are just a bunch of martyrs out here. One of the things, and some people, I've seen a couple posts on Reddit that, oh, Amira was like extorting Andrew for money. There was that screenshot with how much money he sent for her to like ship back her engagement ring. Then, oh, she was just using him to get on TV. She was just using him to get to the United States. Blah, blah, blah. She's not a good person either. Well, who the fuck cares? It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter her motivations for how or why she was with Andrew in the first place. They were together for 2 years prior to being on the show. And Andrew behaved awfully. And he behaved awfully on the show. And his behavior off the show only confirms that he really didn't get a bad edit. He was just that difficult of a person to be around. We're going to talk about the tell-all in just a second. But you know, there were people that we've seen on the show that we were pretty sure their motivation for being on the show wasn't true love. Let's talk about Andrew's mom for just a second. So this had been circulating before the scene where she questions whether or not Amira actually had a panic attack. And before this dumb-ass interview that they did with Lita, and before that scene on the show, it was circulating, and Frauded by TLC had put this up on her Instagram, or I think it's Frauded Media now, so I don't know if you guys remember this. Amira had posted a photo of her in like a tan, like pleathery outfit, and she looked cute. She looked super cute. Andrew's mom left this comment on that photo. You look like an ugly piece of mud. This is rubber. That is rubber all over the wall, just like your personality and morals. This woman runs a daycare, and this speaks to, I mean, personally, I don't agree with anyone reaching out and, you know, making fake bad reviews about this daycare or anything. But I think that anyone who has seen this show and who is sending their children to that daycare should seriously question what kind of people they're leaving their children in the hands of. Do you want someone like that who writes shit like that to be in charge of teaching your kid like not to hit or how to be nice, or, you know, just rearing them from their most vulnerable, impressionable age? I wouldn't. And I took, as a lot of people did, I took pretty personally her like insinuation that she didn't really fully believe that Amira had a panic attack. So mental health and mental health issues and disorders and just the struggle of people that have mental health issues is something that people often suffer in silence for the very reason that they won't be believed or understood. I've spoken about this before. I have obsessive compulsive disorder. I've been treated since I was 19 years old through therapy and medication. And there was a lot of things, I almost dropped out of college. There's a lot of things I thought I would never be able to do, including be a mom. And it was through a lot of personal hard work that I have gotten to the point where I am today. And I still constantly struggle. I still constantly have panic attacks and anxiety about things that people would probably laugh about if I were to talk about the fact that I couldn't go to sleep for 3 hours last night because I thought that I left the stove on. So there are things that seem illogical to people that really bother me and that I really struggle with. So when I see someone have their mental health talked about in such a negative or skeptical manner, it really, really bothers me, because it took me a long, long time to feel comfortable enough to even talk about it. So for Amira to say that she had a panic attack, and panic attacks look different in everyone too. Some people show physical symptoms, some people don't. You know, some people, your vital signs can go all over the place. And some people, it's just that you are just very, like, you can't focus on anything else. You know, it's just very, like, an overwhelming sense of dread takes over your body. And it's hard to explain, especially to someone who's either one, never had one, or two, couldn't give a shit. So when Amira, who has just gone through 2 weeks alone in a hotel room, which even if you're at the Ritz, Carlton, or the Waldorf, or the Beverly Hills Hotel with room service for days, being locked up and cooped up, a lot of us have had to go through mandatory 14-day quarantines. They're not fun, and they're extremely lonely under the best circumstances. Now you couple that with being in a country where things are closing down. I think she said there were riots happening. She was not able to get food. They closed down room service. It wasn't all like rainbows and butterflies, her experience, right? And so for her to, then we see this barrage of text messages from Andrew, because for some reason, this is the perfect time to talk about having kids. And so it was, you need to tell me that you want to like come here and have babies right away, or else you're going to come to a angry fiance. I can only imagine how overwhelmed Amira was, and how she ultimately decided to get back on a plane and go the fuck home. I wouldn't have wanted to come to California to Andrew either. So for for Andrew's mom to sit there and question whether or not she actually had a panic attack, I just thought was so awful. And again, it speaks to the fact that she shouldn't be in charge of children, because if a toddler who has, you know, when they're at that age, and my daughter is at that age where you don't have the words to convey your emotions, you only have actions, so tantrums are much more common in kids that age. How are you going to reason with someone when you have no compassion for emotion? That is just beyond me. Lastly, what I want to touch on is how Andrew flipped out at the tell-all. Let's just take a look at this clip. Tonight, we'll see the culmination of the tell-all where Amira actually gets to say her side of the story. So just take a look at this.
But that makes no sense, because this is a tell-all, and we're talking about the story, and we're going through the graveyard of it. And I think we kind of have to do that in the same room. I'm just going to go home. Like, I don't understand why I am not allowed to simply engage in the conversation. People have had to face really difficult conversations with people who are adversarial to them. I've literally come here for the conversation.
So interestingly enough, and I actually do believe this, Andrew had stated on social media that he actually left like either during or right after Mike and Natalie's segment, so that all the shots of him looking like a dumbass, like, and stuff like that, were actually just shots that they're sprinkling throughout, but he actually left much earlier than that. And I actually do believe that. But for him, first of all, I was gonna say he flew all the way out to Los Angeles, but realistically, he flew from Northern California to Southern California. So he goes to the tell-all, and Amira, who has such a visceral reaction to him, who isn't even there, so it really isn't that big of a deal, he gets all boo her that she does not want to appear on stage with him, that she doesn't want to speak to him, and the producers are trying to accommodate the both of them, and he flips out and leaves. To me, that's just incredibly narcissistic. This is all about him. He wanted to be able to yell at Amira and berate her and cut her off, and it just was so gross to see him just throw a little tantrum and just walk off the stage. Like, good riddance. Anyways, you guys, let me know what you guys thought of Andrew and his behavior on the season 8 of 90 Day Fiancé and on the tell-all. Do you think he got an unfair edit, or do you think his behavior on social media pretty much backs up how he was portrayed on the show? Do you think Amira, there's something fishy there that we don't know about, or do you think that she's been pretty much upfront the entire time? Let me know what you guys think. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Reality Squad, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care. Have a good one. Much love.